Hello YouTube, Jamie here from FM Scout. In today's video we're going to be doing a little short guide, so it's only going to be a short video on how to maximize profit when selling a player. Now this is mainly aimed for kind of the new people who didn't know these kind of little tips and stuff like that, and you know, the new guys who's just bought the game but they don't know where to start when the bid comes in for one of their players and they automatically sell the player for the, you know, for the value price. There is some other little things that you can do. So for this kind of video, we're going to take over Arsenal, and I'm just literally going to offer out every single player just so I can show you. I mean, of course, there is ways, like, this isn't about who to sell, this is about how to maximize the profit. Now, of course, if you have got a player who, by looking at Arsenal at the minute, Martinelli and Lacazette are wanted, so these are the type of players you would not offer out. You just kind of wait until a bid comes in. Because the moment you transfer list or you offer them out, their value kind of, or they're asking the price that the clubs are going to bid is going to go relatively lower. So you have to be very careful of that. So only really offer out players, you know, who generally, my rule of thumb is I only offer out players I'm not fussed about losing. So for example, on my Farsley stream, we've got like a player called Jake Woodford, I think Jake Woodford, an American centre midfielder who has been getting bids left, right and centre, but I'm not touching it. So eventually that money will go higher and higher. Of course, it'll only go to 1 point and then they'll stop bidding. But yeah, I always try to avoid just offering out as much as I can. And if you've got a high potential player like Maitland-Niles, for example, eventually clubs will come in and bid for him. But if you want to get rid of him, I just honestly just wait and wait for the bids to come in. Try not to offer out. Of course, you can try, like I say, transfer list the players you don't want at all in the club. So for this, I'm just going to kind of offer out all of these players. So if we just, I mean, you can obviously set the transfer status. So the thing I want to tell you about really, if I do Aubameyang, so I'm going to offer to clubs. Always tick this one at the bottom. So we're just going to see what comes in for him. And then of course we're going to offer out Lacazette as well. Even though I said don't do that, I just want to show you. So I want to transfer list him and make him surplus to requirements. So I'm going to offer him out for unspecified. I never tend to set a price. So of course it's valued at 53 million, right? I know a lot of people tend to go, right, I want 150, 300 million for him. I always tend to keep it unspecified because that way it doesn't lock. So as a little example, kind of in a lower league save, you've got a guy who's valued at £1 million and you offer him out for 1.2, but clubs will come in for 3 million, but they won't go over 1.2 because you've got your asking price set at 1.5 or 1 million. They won't go over that amount. So I'm just going to offer them out unspecified. We're just going to continue a day and just see what happens. If we accept the current vision, let's just go forward. So you can see we've had a few bids. So we've got bids for Aubameyang and Lacazette. So because I offered him out, there obviously is valued at 65 million. Now, the reason this value has gone much lower is because the fact that I've offered him out and transfer listing. So it's not the best thing to do by offering them out. So bear that in mind. Always just wait until the clubs bid. If he has a good season, the clubs will bid for him. Obviously, if you want to desperately get rid of them, like you might do with Aubameyang, then yeah, you can offer them out. But what I want to tell you is a few little tips inside this market. So we've got obviously 39 million. Obviously, you can negotiate that. So you can say you want 60 million or whatever. But for this, I'm just going to leave it at 39 million so I can actually show you what we can do. So we're going to leave this at 39 million. And then we're going to go through some of the additional fees and the additional clauses as well. So in terms of the additional fees, you can put installments in. Now, a lot of people look past installments, like especially lower league clubs. A lot of the time, you kind of want the money for there and then, right? So let's say you're in the lower leagues and you've got a League 2 player who someone's bidded £1 million for. But they've bidded 100k up front, which happens, and then 900k in installments. It's not always a bad thing because that just means you're going to get some money over the next month. You're going to get monthly installments for this player, which is in the lower leagues is really, really good. So bear that in mind. Of course, if you're a higher club like Arsenal, you wouldn't really necessarily need that because you got the Premier League money and stuff. But installments, don't look past them. I know you obviously want the money there and then, and it's hard to say no to that. I generally try and go for money there and then, but you know, I don't look past installments either. So yeah, they're the installments. So I can say to Arsenal, right, okay, you're gonna 39 million, yeah. I also want an additional 5 million on top of that, 800. So like you can see here, so they're gonna pay me 833k in 6 monthly installments. So that helps the club over that period get £5 million. So you can do that. Of course, another thing you can do is after league appearances, per league appearances, international appearances, and minimum league goals. This is something, if you're selling a player, I would honestly try and remove and avoid completely. I've had the instances before where my board have accepted a deal for a player in League 2, and the total value, so for example, this is what it looked like. So once he reaches 30 goals, okay, I will get 7.5 million. Okay, but that player has got to hit 30 goals. So if it's not the best player in the world, but you get like a 500k bid plus 500k on this, totaling it to $1 million, I would just always try and remove these, because sometimes that player won't do that, and you'll be waiting probably 4 or 5 years, and in that time he's probably going to get released or sold. So I would honestly try and remove and exclude that. If they keep putting it in, make sure you press remove and exclude. Okay, so let's have a little look at the next one. So you've got minimum league goals, which is just spoke about. Again, the same with these ones. I would just avoid trying to use any of these. I mean, if it's a really good player, but still, I still wouldn't do it, honestly. I always try and take these out. Players to exchange, we're going to ignore that. And then bonus after competition achievement. So another thing that, you know, once that player wins the Spanish First Division, we're going to get so much money. But again, that's a little bit risky. But the additional clauses is mainly what I want to talk about. So you can see percentage of profit from next sale or percentage of next sale. So people get confused about these two, and I did until recently. So percentage of profit from next sale just means if you sell a player, so right, okay, so we sell Aubameyang to Real Madrid for 40 million, yeah? 2 years later, Real Madrid go and sell him for 10 million. We're going to get a percentage of profit from that, but we're not going to get anything because it's really hard to explain. So let's just say, okay, for this instance, right, 1 million, Aubameyang goes to Real Madrid for £1 million, right? I'm going to get 50% of profit from next sale. So they then go and sell him for 2 years later for 5 million, which means I'm going to get 50% of 4 million. You get that? We sold him for 1. He's gone and joined someone else for extra 4 million. So be very careful with this in terms of selling players. I try and avoid this as well. So in an instance, let's say the next one, you got percentage of next sale, which is the one I always choose. So no matter how much he gets sold for, whether it's less than what you've sold him to the club for, so I'm selling Aubameyang for 40 million. If they sell him for 20 million, I'm going to get, if that's 50%, I'm going to get 10 million from that. So again, always be careful when clubs put in these additional clauses. So yeah, of course, in a nutshell again, if I sell him for 40 million, we use this one for 50%, but they then go and sell him for 20 million. They've made no profit. So therefore, because he's gone for 20 million less, I'm going to get no money whatsoever from that clause. So be very careful when adding that, and make sure you always try and do percent of next sale, which is say 50%. You might have to do some negotiating with clubs and stuff like that. Of course, you've got the buyback price. So if you do have a really small, a really good potential guy who just wants to leave, you can try and negotiate a buyback price so you're not spending crazy money. Of course, the buyback price goes based on their value, so it'd have to be somewhere around this period. They won't do it less than 40 million, of course. And then you've also got your selling wage team contribution. Another thing I would avoid when trying to sell a player, because that means if you leave it at that, that means that I'm going to be paying Aubameyang £180,000 a week while he is at Real Madrid, which is all of his wage pretty much, right? So they're going to accept that without a shadow of a doubt, because they're getting a guy, they're spending 40 million, but they're paying none of his wages. A lot of clubs that will do this that can't afford the player when you try and sell a player, which you'll notice quite a bit on FM. You can try and remove and exclude, but this does work, but the player doesn't sign for the team because, of course, they haven't got the money. So you need to bear that in mind as well. But in terms of that, yeah, always stick with the percentage of net sale. Try and remove the selling wage team contribution if you can. I mean, if you're in the lower leagues and it's, what, 400 quid or something, and you know you're going to get £1 million from that, then that's your kind of decision to make. Arrange friendly and stuff like that I don't tend to use. But yeah, I would desperately look at adding the percent of next sale. Because what will happen is when you go to your transfers, this is a screen not a lot of people look at as well. So if you go into your transfers and you look at your clauses, you'll see we've got some clauses here, and this is a really good example, actually. So all your clauses that you put in any transfers will go into this screen. So you can see Chuba Akprom, 20% of his next transfer will be owed to Arsenal. So when this guy eventually leaves PAOK, Arsenal will get 20% of his next transfer. You can see there's a few stuff in there. So like that Amechi, who's gone to Hamburg. Arsenal would do 425k if Hamburg gain promotion. And then you'll see these little signs just here, which means there's something available to be activated, which is a clause. So you can see Southampton will be due 1 million after another 12 league appearances. And then, of course, they've got a 25% of the profit made on his next transfer out to Southampton, signed for 12 million. But if you buy the clauses a few years after you sell the player, you can see, if you want to buy this clause, Southampton are demanding 742k. This amount will be removed from your transfer budget. So that's the wrong one. I'm not talking about that one. My bad. I was looking for the green one. So you can buy the clauses, but of course you can sell the clauses. There we go. This is a good example. Theo Walcott. So bear in mind, it does say sell and it does say buy. Oh, sell it. Yeah, so Oxlade-Chamberlain as well, and you've got Theo Walcott, which you can sell, but Callum Chambers, you can buy the clause if you wanted to. But in terms of Oxlade-Chamberlain, you can see, if we try and sell this clause, we're going to get 189k from Liverpool. And that gets added to your transfer budget as well. So very important when you've got a high range. If you're moneyballing a lot of players and you want to get a lot of money, and these players do tend to move on to a lot of different clubs, this is a really good way of adding to your transfer budget. So always make sure you add kind of the clauses in, because you can sell them. I'm going to make 380k there, and I'm also going to make 189k just there. I would sell them sooner than later, because sometimes, the longer it goes on, you'll see the message here as well. We have received 380k from Everton to a buyout and an outstanding clause that was part of the Theo Walcott transfer deal. So we had been due to receive 500k after another 29 league appearances. So whether Walcott is going to do that, but of course we've took a little bit of the less just in case he doesn't make that. But that is just really my little guide on kind of selling players. Just be very careful when selling players. If you put the right thing in, especially if you're a club that doesn't generate a lot of money, like in Portugal and stuff like that, they are so important. You can rinse a lot of clubs for money if you do it the right way. But that's been the end of the video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time. Let me know if you want me to do more of these tips videos. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody. Laters.